Hello, everybody. My guest today is Stephen Hayes. He's the CEO and founder of Alleyoop, a demand generation agency that fully realizes the culmination of sales, marketing, tech, automation, and creative thinking. Over the past decade, his company has grown from 10 to 50 people and has been honored to drive revenue for companies like Adobe, DiscoverOrg, and Cleveland Golf. They provide the ultimate assist to growth-minded companies. All right, Stephen, you ready to take us to the top?
I am. Thank you.
You bet. Hey, what you're doing must be working because DiscoverOrg just, paid a lot of money for their number one rival, ZoomInfo. So that's all you, right?
Well, all would be an overstatement for sure. I have to tell you, DiscoverOrg is one of the best companies we've ever worked with. They would have done amazing things without us. But I think if you ask them, they'll tell you that we've certainly been an important part of their growth story. But they were going to do great things regardless. The way they're built, the way they're wired, and the type of people that work at DiscoverOrg, just an exceptional organization.
Back in episode 15, 17, Henry came on and talked about how they passed $165 million in ARR, and he broke down how their sales operation worked, even down to the ratio of SDR to account executive to customer success rep, and how the CS folks are responsible for expansion, and they are quota carrying as a team. Walk me through how your lead generation services kind of feed into the machine he's built internally.
Yeah, so what we found is the way we start with the company kind of evolves over time as they grow and we grow with them. So when we started with DiscoverOrg, they had 2 SDRs. They were kind of trying to figure out, does this work?
What year was this?
It was 5 years ago.
Okay.
Approximately 5 years ago. So I flew out, met with Henry and said, hey, listen, you guys have the most amazing platform I've ever seen. More of the world needs to know about it. And good things will happen when you get in front of the right people. And so we scaled the heck out of it. And we offered to them just technology that maybe they weren't quite ready for in-house. We offered a marketing capability.
What was some of the tech?
Just some automation, outreach type sequences. At the time, we were using a different platform than we do today. And some of it's a bit dated in terms of even talking about it.
Well, tell us what you're using today. What automation platform you use today?
So today we use outreach for that particular part of the outbound engine. At that time, we were using 3 or 4 different tools to accomplish what we do today with outreach.
Yep, no, it's very good. Again, we had, and Manny's killing it as well. He thinks he'll hit 10 million per quarter here by the end of Q2, and that was episode 1136. So you are riding the backs of whales, that's for sure.
Yeah, and outreach outsourced part of their SDR function to us early on as well. And one of the benefits you see is even a company like Outreach who has an amazing SDR function, we help them kind of learn a little bit, grow a little bit, and best practices sharing and competition.
Yeah.
When they outsource part of their function to us, their internal team's production went up by 20%.
So let me ask you a question. I could imagine a CEO listening to this going, yeah, but I love what Nathan and Stephen are talking about right now. I'd love to pay Stephen to do this, but it makes me nervous putting something so critical to our business externally. What advice would you give that CEO to manage that risk?
Well, I think you have to look at a company's history. Who have we done it for? How do we do it? And I think if there's not cultural, philosophical, and operational alignment, you shouldn't do it. If you're someone who can't handle not seeing and knowing every single thing, then outsourcing is not an option. Mm-hmm. You should do it in-house because it wouldn't be fun for anybody. But there's certain parts in your life and certain moments in your life where you have to make decisions that equate to scale and equate to success, and a level of success you simply wouldn't have found on your own, being a solo type person or company mindset. So what I would say to you is there's probably 3,000 companies that do what we do. There's probably 3 or 4 of them that if you really care about your brand and you really care about operational aspects of the business, and it's not results at all costs, there's only 3 or 4 companies that you could outsource to.
Yep.
So it's actually not that hard of a decision, even when you think of it through the right lens.
Yep. No, by the way, this is a space that is extremely hot. If people want to build this same kind of thing internally, just your software costs per person that you have operating the machine can get expensive. And I'm looking at some of your pricing starting at $2,500 a month, going up to $5,000 a month for 1,500 target prospects for either, meetings or demos, et cetera. I mean, so I can see where there's cost savings here and efficiencies. What about knowledge, right? So if a Henry uses you for DiscoverOrg, and then their competitor, ZoomInfo, came along and said, "Hey, we want to use you too." Wouldn't DiscoverOrg be concerned about the knowledge they've essentially paid you to learn building their system? You would just then give to ZoomInfo?
Well, there's different types of things that we do with certain companies. So I'll give you, I can tell you flat out that we've turned down working with every DiscoverOrg competitor on the market.
Okay, so you do offer
said,
exclusivity.
We do. We don't offer it to everyone, and we don't offer it always, but it's certainly an option. And DiscoverOrg was worthy of that loyalty and that commitment, and no regrets. And certainly we've done that for others.
So, Stephen, do you, if I was in your shoes, and this isn't a good trait of mine, but it is a natural human one. When I read that Henry is passing 160 million bucks in ARR and just doubled the size of his business buying ZoomInfo, so call it 250 million bucks, right? As a private B2B SaaS company, that's one of the larger ones. And maybe he's following maybe a Qualtrics route, right? Where they then go get bought up by someone big. I can't help but think, my gosh, I wish I took equity instead of making Henry pay me $2,500 a month back 5 years ago. Do you ever take equity for these? And if so, have you ever taken equity and it turns out to be worth nothing?
Yes and yes. And I asked Henry, I made that offer to Henry all those years ago. He said no.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. He had doubled down on himself. That's funny.
He did. Yeah. But you know what? Them as a referral and a reference and telling our story in a way that we couldn't tell our story. It comes back. Yeah, it comes back in a big way, regardless of it's not just financial. So
yeah. So Stephen, my audience is going to learn two, I think, things from this. The next 10 minutes of this. One is you're running your own business and how you grew it, but the second is they're all SaaS. My audience is almost all B2B SaaS CEOs, and they're trying to build their own internal engines, and they're going to learn from you how you did it for other people. So let me focus on the former first. Your business, is it a true agency, or do you have true recurring predictable revenue?
We have true recurring predictable revenue.
Okay, so there's a software component underlying the human aspect, or no?
There are software components, but it's a subscription.
Okay.
Essentially, that includes technology,
okay,
marketing services, sales resources, and consulting.
Okay.
So our programs all come with playbook design. They all come with database services. They all come with creative services. So for most of our customers, we're building a package that includes video production, explainer video production, call one analysis and recommendations. We're aligning to someone doing a demo. We're going to make darn sure their demo is top notch. We don't want to align to someone who has a bad demo, and no offense to them, their demo might just be bad. Their product might be great. So we're going to help with that. So it's a subscription that includes different layers of services, depending on when someone comes to us, how fully baked or not baked they are. Their product might be fully baked, but their go-to-market strategy might not be.
Yep.
So we have an in-house agency, data team, tech team, services team to support that effort. Because we also don't want our SDRs going to market half-baked either. That's not a rewarding experience. We want them to be professionally supported and have success rates that far outpace industry averages, so they can have success and make money too.
Yep. So Stephen, how kind of walk me through on average, what's the company going to pay you per month for kind of, again, your average plan?
Sure. So a digital only plan that replaces someone putting, say, HubSpot in is $2,500 a month.
Okay.
So that includes data, content services, creative services, delivery of messaging to the market, and it includes lead generation and response management.
What's the end point though of that part of the process? If I pay you that, is it a scheduled meeting or what is it? It's
a lead. So it's scoring of interaction of content and responses.
Okay. Got it. And then what, I assume it's more if you then have, if I pay you to take that lead and actually get them booked on a demo, it's what?
That's right. So the next level is so that first offer we call Nurture. The second one we call Nurture Pro. And Nurture Pro puts a partial resource on the program. So they're akin to book meetings.
Okay, got it.
So and low volume.
And then I assume you probably upsell from there. So give me an average. What is the average, group that's paying you like $5-10 a month-ish, or what's it look like?
No, our average is probably 15 to 20.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So you are not a kind of low touch, high volume organization. You're kind of like, maybe they start at $2,500 a month, but you quickly get them up to 10, 15, 20 grand a month. Henry, I'm sure, was way higher than that.
Yes and no. I mean, our company's evolved over the last 3 years pretty rapidly. So we productized our offering so that we never had a $2,500 a month offering.
Yeah.
We had an offering that if you weren't going to spend $500,000 a year, we just weren't going to work with you.
You couldn't. So it wasn't effective.
Right. We just, we didn't have an interest in or didn't have the capability to productize at that time. But over the last year, we've realized there's lots of value in pieces of what we do, and parsing them out and offering them as a standalone product has a lot of value for our customer and for us. We really didn't want to walk away from growth-minded companies anymore. We wanted to be able to have a way for someone to get started.
Yep.
And the reality is, if you want to get started and you want to go do HubSpot by yourself, it's very cumbersome, it's very time consuming, and the failure rate's really high.
Yep. How many customers are you working with today?
We have about 40, 45 customers at any time.
Okay. And do you see a point at which people say, listen, Steven, you've been amazing, but we're at 20 SDRs now. You've given us the playbook. That's going to allow us to scale to 100. We're going to stop paying you here for a little bit and just take this playbook you built for us and bring it internal. I mean, do you see that happen or no?
It happens a lot less than it used to. And I think as the SDR function has matured, there's 50,000 job openings on Indeed.com for SDR right now. Most of those are multi-headcount. So there's probably at least 100,000 open recs for SDRs in the United States. The average cost to run an SDR in the US right now is $97,000 a year.
Including salary?
Yes. Yeah. In a high cost city, it's $123,000. So people are thinking, so here's how people are thinking about it today. I can incubate with an outsource provider. It's a great way to learn, but people don't really want to run a production SDR function in-house anymore if they don't have to. There's just not a lot of reason to do it. Even if you go to Google and they have an SDR team, and you go and you say, who's the SDR team at Google today? And you go back in 6 months, they're all different people.
Yep. Yeah, the turnover rates, by the way, that's how a company like Manny's outreach grows so fast, is they only have to sell to one salesperson. That salesperson will work 5 jobs over the next 2 years. So they go to 5 accounts.
Yeah. So the new way to run an SDR program is to run a strategic internal SDR program. So if you're running an account-based marketing program or an enterprise play, you can put your SDRs in-house on top of that. So instead of having 20, you might have 4.
Got it.
It's now your AE feeder team, which is wonderful, right? It's a great way to pay go. You're paying an SDR, but they're going to become an AE. So it's a self-funding thing. But the truth is, when you have 25, 30 SDRs, only 4 of them are going to become AEs.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're getting the same benefit without the need to have another 20 to figure that out. So you can outsource your production SDR function to us or someone like us, and you can internally do your strategic SDR team, and you get all of the benefits. You get scale.
Yep.
You get
so
consistent.
Steven, I want to jump in because I think my whole audience understands the product. They totally get the value. They totally get why you're successful.
That nuance is really different. This strategic SDR team is a new thing. Like, people are thinking about it very differently now than even they were a year ago.
Well, instead of experimenting with them bringing on fixed cost salespeople and then burning and churning through them as they work or don't work, they have a SWAT team of highly talented ones. They work with you to do the testing, and it makes more sense.
And the production, the scale. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. We got about 2 minutes left here. So I have a couple other questions I want to rocket through. When did you launch the company? What year?
2010.
2010. Okay. And have you bootstrapped or raised?
Bootstrap.
That's great. So totally bootstrapped this. So 2010, walk me through how you got your first 10 customers.
Well, our first big customer was Regis Offices.
Which one?
Regis.
Okay. Like the hotel chain?
No, Office Space. So before there was a WeWork, there was a Regis.
Yep. Okay. And how'd you get them?
Web lead, believe it or not.
And how did the web lead find you? What were you doing to attract them?
We were doing SEO.
Okay. And what was the search term? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I wish I did. It's like the first dollar bill of your business. I wish I remembered what that was, but I don't.
Was it accidental, or did you have a team specifically focused on like 5 strategic keywords?
It wasn't accidental. It was strategic. I had hired a gentleman who's a scientist in SEO before anyone was really doing that. And he was just amazing. And so we just did that.
That's great. And talk to me a little bit here about growth. So if you've got 45 or 40-ish customers today at 15 grand a month, we can obviously back into whatever, 650 grand a month. Is that accurate?
It is.
And where were you about a year ago?
Four something.
Okay. I mean, that's healthy growth. Have any VC firms tried to acquire your company and basically bring your whole organization in-house for all their portfolio companies?
It's something that I've thought would happen. Like OpenView Venture does this as a service for their portfolio.
A lot do.
Yeah. I've talked to some firms about it. I think they all just want to do it on their own, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. And then what's your team size today?
We have about 70 people. 70.
And where's everyone based?
We have an office in Buffalo, New York, and San Juan, Puerto Rico.
New York. Oh, that's great. And I was going to say, it's much better right now, I think, probably being in Puerto Rico where it's warm and hopefully sunny versus New York, right?
It is.
Yeah. All right. Very good. And then obviously you're bootstrapped, so I assume you're operating at break even or cash flow positive, right?
Yeah.
And then walk me through churn. So when you look at your, not net, because I think your net's probably way over 100% with your expansion revenue, but when you look at your gross revenue churn annually, what's that at about?
I don't have an exact number on that for you. Okay. The way we measure things, some things get bigger, some things get smaller. We don't lose a lot of customers. A lot of customers change.
Upgrade, downgrade.
So it's very fluid, but we don't lose many customers at all.
So what's net revenue retention look like? Again, I assume it's above 100%.
Yeah.
Do you measure, or is that something you don't measure?
Well, I measure it, but not the way you're thinking. I don't measure it like a software company measures it, but I kind of measure it, and our comp plans are based on retention and those types of things. But I don't. The way I measure it probably isn't very relevant to your audience, and it probably isn't something that I would add much value in.
Well, it is relevant. And I'll tell you why. Everyone's trying to drive expansion revenue, right? Everyone's trying to get someone to go from $2,500 a month to $5 grand or $10 grand a month. At the same time, you'll have some accounts in that same cohort that sign up that same month, maybe decrease by $1 grand a month. So net, what I'm trying to see is, I assume you have predictability around, a $2,500 a month customer in year one is going to expand to a $5 grand per month customer in year two. What is that expansion? Like, what expansion do you model in your pro formas to plan things like hiring decisions?
Sure. So we expect our mid to enterprise customers to expand 20-25% a year each.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Our new market, the lower end, smaller market, I don't have great data on that yet.
Well, and that cohort is a little more harder to predict. Very good. And then look, you probably ask customers the same question before you decide to sign them or not. What does it cost you on average to get a new customer fully weighted?
It probably costs, I don't have a great number, but it's probably $3,000 to $4,000.
Okay. So then you're getting your money back there in 2-3 months max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
I mean, our internal engine is quite good. Well,
it better be. That's what you sell.
That's right. We are. I always say, guys, we need to be a product of the product.
Eat your dog food.
Don't do it if you're not going to do it right. So
That's
absolutely.
Right. All right, Steven, let's wrap up with a famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book is probably Good to Great.
Good. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I study all of our customer CEOs and learn so much from all of my interactions with them. Certainly Henry is probably my favorite person. I've I shouldn't say that. He's someone who's very memorable to me and very important to me. But there's certainly others.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the company besides outreach, since you mentioned it already?
DiscoverOrg.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
On average, probably 5.
Okay. And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Married, 5 children.
Holy mackerel. And how old are you?
I am 44.
Wow, you are a busy man. Okay, last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
To move to California.
Move to California faster. Guys, there you have. Go ahead.
That's right. That's it. Move to California, get into SaaS earlier, and explore.
Guys, there you have it from Steven. Again, 45 customers paying him about 15 grand a month to help them automate their sales process, whether it's a lead, a meeting, a demo, whatever. Big companies like DiscoverOrg are using him. First customers back in 2010, Regis Office Space. He got them via an SEO term he had optimized for. Doing about 670 grand a month right now in revenue, up from about 400 grand just a year ago. So healthy growth, profitable bootstrap team of 70 between New York City and Puerto Rico. They assume 25% year over year expansion, kind of in their planning process and on their enterprise and mid-market accounts, spending call it $3 or $4 grand to get a new customer. So healthy payback period there. Stephen, thanks for taking us to the top.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.